So, hey everyone. I actually can't believe I'm even doing this. This was supposed to be a much more inspiring or helpful goal for tonight. Had this crazy idea of doing something that was supposed to help me work through task avoidance by way of creating a completely stupid sounding idea of dishes and discussion or discourse or something. You know, D&D, roll for detergent. Haha. Yeah, it was meant to be something that would, so as I'm working on being consistent with my uploads and things of that nature and building a community and all the other things, including obviously what everybody wants on some level or another, being the monetization or profit or something, helps me keep up with my task avoidance, because I have, I think I may have just summed it up as neurodivergent on that other, last time you saw me in my kitchen, when I discussed it and point out that I may have just labeled it as neurodivergent. I have autism, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and technically, I believe it's schizoaffective bipolar disorder. I'm sure there's people in my family who are like, why on earth are you telling people this? Honestly, I'm kind of tired of holding it all in. And if I'm doing this and I'm actually taking it even remotely seriously, then let's be honest. Archimedes, get away from that trash bag. There is no wet cat food in there for you. Go, 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 go. Sorry. But yeah, task avoidance, keeping this house kind of tidy, as you could tell if, depending on how well the zoom is on all this. Unfortunately, working retail tends to be extremely overstimulating and exhausting, and aggravates my audio sensitivity. Right now, with the heat wave, my ability to tolerate extreme heats, and also my feet after my last surgery. None of this, though, this is more of a prelude to the concept that I was coming up with for this, where it was just something to kind of discuss, get people's inputs, give people a place to comment about their own situation, and hopefully result in something positive. And that's what I was planning on discussing tonight. But I got a message from probably one of the best friends that I've ever had, and it sent me down a very stressful and in ways insightful autistic meltdown, is what I've been told it sounds like. It's actually kind of why I can't believe I'm even doing this. But again, I want to be honest with people, and I want to stop holding it in. And so I guess that just means everybody else gets to suffer. Sorry. No. I have, through pretty much my own fault, as I'm trying to come to terms with these days so that I can move forward into this new chapter with the YouTube content and also voice acting and 3D printing, there's actually a lot of goals that I have and would like to follow through with this chapter. And hopefully you'll still be able to hear me pretty well over the water. But again, this was to kind of help me not like if I'm here talking to you, or at least doing the recording, I can't really be all over the place looking for all the dishes that I'm missing. And oh, wait, there's that shiny thing. But no, I've let Kroger, dang it, didn't really want to say the name. I've let my job take a lot from me. Free time, friends, life, sleep. So much. More than I would ever care to admit to myself. It took me a long time to get to a point where I started to stand up for myself more and more. Other events of late, which I'll discuss eventually because they're awesome, led to me starting to finally feel, well, or at least develop self-confidence and self-worth for a lot of different reasons growing up. I haven't had that much. But, no, last year was dark. I don't kid people when I say that I'm not entirely sure how I made it through last year. I really don't entirely know how it is that I lived through last year. It was really dark. The whole year was. It's kind of not been great since I got my corrective foot surgery, which in turn ends up needing a corrective foot surgery. I mean, about the only way that's happening is if I win the lottery, get hired for an insanely good voice acting gig, or get this monetized anywhere near it, but that's beside the point. The thing I was trying to get to is that one of the things I've done since I moved into my grandparents' house that they left us, living on my own, and with the job and how it's affected my autism, how it's affected my autism and an hour commute and all that other fun stuff, I have struggled a lot with depression. And one of the things that I have ended up doing, not necessarily consciously, but at least unconsciously, was to not communicate with people. I just kind of shut off. There are people I wanted to chat with online, good friends, including my good friend here, my best friend. And, I just stopped talking to people. I would check in with my mom, but that's about it. And I don't know if that's one of the reasons for the message that I got. But, we were closing up tonight, and I received a message from my best friend who said that it would seem that we are becoming strangers to each other, or at least that I was becoming a stranger to them. And they didn't explain why, but they said they'd come to terms to that, and pretty much would just have a good life. This came completely out of left field. I don't really know where it was coming from. I know that I still need to work on actually communicating with people. At the same time, I've been trying to do a lot of stuff, and if I get on my phone, I get distracted. And then I don't get stuff done. So there's that. No, that came out of nowhere, and it pretty much just was like a blow to the gut. My stomach just kind of went out from underneath me, or however that feeling is described, where it just feels like the bottom of your stomach just drops out. What I wanted to do was to immediately get a hold of them, and I've sent the messages, but they haven't responded. I don't think they've blocked me per se, but I don't know, and I'm respecting their wishes. But no, what I wanted to do was to process my emotions, react to what I just received, and get a hold of my friend. That is what I wanted to do, and what I feel should have done. But instead, I ended up having to stand there, internalizing some very powerful emotions with this stupid customer service mask that I have managed to perfect. I actually, a segue here, but even before I had any inkling that I was autistic, and let alone what masking behavior was, I actually called it that I had a very good customer service mask. So I was calling it, I was calling what I would do masks before I even knew that's what it was called. Quirky, huh? But the one for work is almost terrifying at this point. It just kicks in automatically and then so well and so glued on that it's maddening. It's very, very maddening. And yeah, it means that everything I'm feeling has to be locked in behind it while it's trying to go Nova. So it's a lot of trying to hold the grenade as it's exploding. And I was not handling it very well. I mean, some days I can handle it and it masks reasonably well. This particular day was not one of them, simply because of the importance of it. And where this is going, aside from me just trying to talk about this and not just bottle it up inside and see where that leads, which is rarely anywhere good, is to talk about it. Maybe this will get it out of my system, just talking about it. Maybe this will help somebody else realize that they can talk about it too. I come from a generation and a time where, at best, mental health was something that was acknowledged. You had it, but you don't talk about it. You just you acknowledge it, like you acknowledge the moon. You don't really do anything about the moon, it's just there. But you acknowledge that it's there. And then you just kind of ignore it and don't bring it up and put those people... Try and make sure that the people whose versions are, more intense than others aren't visible. You don't get seen. But I think it's important that people talk about these things. If only to at least get them out of your system, so you aren't the one who's having to try and hold in the explosion. And I'm really torn up by the loss of one of my closest, if not my best friend. Yeah. I don't know if it was what is affecting a lot of people's friendships and relationships these days, being, let's say, ideologies. For the sake of civility, I'm going to try my best to keep politics as far out of this as possible. As far out of this entire channel as possible, because I think there's things that are bigger than that, and that politics will only end up blowing up anything. Not saying that you shouldn't have them or anything like that. I'm just trying to focus on this not turning into a ideological war zone or whatever. It's the internet. People are going to blow up at me if I had said that or not. But I don't know if it was that. I know we disagree on some things, but I don't know if it was that or if it was the lack of communication. I think more so I feel that it is the lack of communication, which, while in the past, when I allowed myself to feel that I was trapped in this job, instead of trying to approach it in a way that was less negative, because a lot of things, if you approach it from a negative perspective, you get negative results, that kind of thinking. So yeah, if you're trapped, if you feel you're trapped, you will be trapped. That's metaphysics or whatever. But no, I think on some levels I feel that was more the case than anything else, because I had just shut down. And yeah, that definitely broke me. I tried to talk to my mom afterwards, and wow. When I get sensory overload, it gets really bad. More often than not, I tend to start to try and maybe lose control of a hand or something, because my brain is essentially blowing up and ripping itself to shreds. Or at least that's what it feels like. But because it's at work, I have to look all nice and professional and customer servicey. So internally, I am screaming as my consciousness is being ripped like Doctor Strange when he was dumb enough to try and talk down Wanda. That man was stupid. Not Doctor Strange. Mr. Fantastic when he was trying to talk down Scarlet Witch. Anyway. It oftentimes tends to work in a way that can occasionally result in me finding it difficult to speak, which is really terrifying, because so many things are trying to come out at the same time. So many processes are trying to work at the same time, but with only so many outlets that they can't come out. And I found myself doing something that was brand new, never done it before, where I just started stuttering a lot, really heavily stuttering, as I started having a harder and harder time speaking. So, yeah, that was bad. But there's been a long time that I've worried about what would happen, how I would react to something serious. So, for example, like getting a text like, oh, your mom's in the hospital, that kind of thing, while I'm stuck running a register or stuck closing, because I'm the only one there, really. So I have to wait for everybody to leave, which is awesome, because you'll often have customers who tend to think of closing as when they can start checking out, or closed as to when they start checking out. And so you end up having people leave with, like, or at least get in line and start a multi-cart transaction that takes 20 or 30 minutes. Then you get snapped at for overtime, which wasn't your fault. Oh boy. We'll see how that conversation goes yeah, anyway. That's not the important part. The important part is that I, for a long time, worried what I would do in that situation were I to get that notification. And as this happened, or actually once things started to kind of calm down, or at least once we were done with customers and the walls of the mask started to come down, and I started to have to process all of it hitting me at once, I realized that in its own way, this was a lesser version of that. Because, I mean, again, best friend just told me bye. Like, that just hit me hard, and was something that you would view as a major thing happening in your life. And that's how I took it. I've always been afraid that I would end up responding in a way that was more in favor of work than in favor of being a person. Because that mask slips on so well. And the way people tend to treat retail workers, there are times that I personally feel that there are animals in petting zoos that are treated with more respect than some people treat retail workers. I always try and make sure that I am not one of those people. And I won't go into why, in case anybody from my work actually sees this, and then suddenly everybody's who. But, yeah. I responded by just doing my job and standing there with that stupid work mask glued to my face, dealing with stupid customers who really shouldn't try and do this much stuff at this late at night, just out of common courtesy. But that's a different story. But yeah. I left that stupid mask on instead of ripping it off and trying to figure out how to fix one of the most important friendships I've had in my adult life. And I realized that I allow Kroger to take, dang it, I allow my job to take as much as it does. And that I allowed it to take this as well. So I'm more upset and was more upset with myself for feeling that this was the reason. It may not have been. I may never know. I definitely don't know right now when I'm recording this. But, yeah, that for a long time, lately especially, leading up, and as I've started to develop my voice acting, pretty much the person who had the faith and saw something in me enough to gift me with a year of Skills Hub really changed the course of my entire life. I found a career, a path, a purpose, a community, an extended family of incredibly supportive and caring people. I'm beyond blessed with that. On the flip side, retail work does tend to have a heavy need for people to have low self-esteem and self-worth, because you kind of have to get used to being treated like garbage. And if you have a strong enough sense of self-worth and everything, and no rules, policies, whatever, you tend to not work as well with certain people who hope that you don't know how things work. But, yeah. It's been a struggle to deal with the job stuff more and more. So I have known for a long time that we're eventually reaching a point, especially with how hot it gets down here. How hot it gets down here during the summer. And how busy this particular store is. And all that fun stuff. I've known for a while that we're reaching a kind of point of no return, or something along those lines, where either I always felt that it was going to be physically more than anything, but physically unable to do that, where I would just be run so ragged with this, that, or the other, because depending on the technology in the particular store, you are essentially the equivalent of a human pinball. And you may barely be lucky enough to form a sentence in your head, let alone get any water. Just because of how busy it is, how crazy it is, and how many issues there are with the system. So yeah, I thought that I would hit a point where I was no longer physically capable of dealing with it. There have been some days that I haven't. I actually, due to remodelers thinking they would just start whenever, and started ripping up the floor 5 feet from me, I actually collapsed in the bathroom from overstimulation. That's a topic for another time. In this case, it's just realizing for a while there was going to be a point when I inevitably could no longer do this job. I've been doing it. I've allowed myself to get stuck there because it is inevitably me who makes the decisions and has that influence on my life. Yeah, I've let myself get stuck there for, God, I hate admitting it, but 18 years now. Sure, it's like the pay was one thing for 4 years. If you think saying 18 years is bad, wait until you hear the part where I actually misread the last union contract and thought that I was making about $4 more an hour than I actually was. Oh God, I felt like an idiot after that. But, put the remote back on the gimbal so it charges. But, yeah, now I've lost track of where I was. Right, that I thought it was going to be the physical that would make it where I could no longer do that job. And then where would I be if I hadn't found something else, or if I hadn't started to build something else? And that is one of the reasons why I'm grateful that I got, like, the voice acting thing, trying to circle that back around, has given me the self-confidence and self-worth to actually try and do YouTube stuff again. I am here doing this because of how voice acting has changed my life in only a few months. I'm here doing this now. I made a video that had like 300 views on it because I got to put up the video on my Dr. Doom helmet. Never would have imagined that. But that is what has led to me being here and having the confidence to be here and be open about who I am and what I experience and not try and hold it in anymore. So, yeah, I mean, I do want to actually build this into a community and build this into something where I can make enough to cover the peanuts, so to speak, that retail pays and do more stuff and provide a better community, more content, more creative projects, and excel in my voice acting and work there. But I just thought I had more time because this was a crossroads night. I think that's a good word for it. It's definitely a crossroads, or at least a red line. There was just, my best friend is gone, effectively. I don't fully know why, and like I said, I may never know fully why. And I feel like that was my fault. And it might be, it might not be. I will never know, probably. But it is just one more thing on this whole camel's back, and possibly one of the final straws. Because I just can't do it anymore. I can't keep letting my life slip by because I'm afraid to find something new. Or I'm afraid to risk this, that, or the other. Heck. I am on YouTube spilling my guts to Earth 3 to 6 months ago. I would never have even had the guts to have this conversation at all. A few weeks ago, because people had told me that they could tell that I'm capable of singing just from picking up stuff when we've done our readings, I had people tell me that, that I have the potential for singing. And so I somehow convinced myself to sing and record it and submit it. And I did not have to go and change my identity or my name to Sten Jorgensen and disappear into witness protection. So at this point, I'm like, why am I this terrified of it? Aside from the healthcare problem. Because health insurance is not something I can really go long without. Again, different topic, different day. In this, I don't know. I just wanted to recount this story and do my dishes. Hopefully the next time we do this, it'll be a more positive note. But I think the important thing is I wanted people to know. I wanted to just get this out of my system. I mean, this could ruin and hurt any growth that my channel may get. That's not really the point. I just didn't want to have to be yet another person who internalizes this stuff until it makes them explode or makes them, I don't know, rip themselves apart from the inside. We let too much toxicity into our systems, and we don't let it out. I don't want that to be me. And I want to make a community, if I can, for other people to know that it doesn't have to be them either. No! Unfortunately, he is unaware of the concept of you only get one serving at night. The vet has said that he's overweight and that I should cut him down. Let him try it. Back to where I was going with that before I was so rudely interrupted. I want to build a community where people don't have to feel like that, like they have to hold it in, so that they can talk about it, and we'll see where we go from there. But, yeah, I came home and I did one thing, because I don't know when I'll be able to actually follow through with this, that I knew that I at least had to take this first step to kind of reiterate it to myself, and also to have it for when that time comes. Not right now, Archimedes. And that's these. Went ahead and wrote out 2 weeks notices to give when the time comes. Or when I just can't do it anymore. And that's where I have an odd twist in this story. I'm going to keep these in my work bag, so I don't forget about them. Don't let them be just a silly little idea that I then forget about and keep dealing with work. But I actually have a favor to ask. To whoever watches this, to the powers that be, to the YouTube algorithm, to, I don't know, master control program. Don't help me make sure that I use these. And I don't mean in a way that is just internet, help me build this into a channel so I never have to work for a living again. No, I want you to hold me accountable. I want you to hound me on this. Maybe we build the community. Maybe I go viral and get the money to leave and do really cool things. Maybe a bag of money falls out of my falls out of the sky and lands on my driveway. Maybe Elon Musk empties his pockets and that's his loose change. Or maybe through the community, I find a path, an opportunity that I hadn't considered before. Just hold me accountable on this. Because I really, really don't want to find out if I would make the same damn mistake if it was something even more important than my best friend. I don't want to find out what that's like. I hope none of you want to find out what that's like. And I hope that you know that you don't nor should have to find out what that's like. Yeah. I still can't believe I'm recording this and that I'm actually going to upload it. But I want to be honest. So that's what I'll be. Tend to like to keep things simple that way. It's easier than needing a filing cabinet for knowing what I'm supposed to do under certain circumstances. It's easier when I can just be like, when I can keep it consistent and be the right person. Show off my Trekkie side. The philosophy of one Zephram Cochrane, founder of Warp Drive. Don't try and be a great man, just be a man. And let history come to its own conclusions. I think those are some pretty good words to live by. I'll just try and do the best that I can. In this community, in these videos, if I'm doing something, it's because I want to, first and foremost. I want to share something cool with people. I want to showcase off my grand ideas. I mean, eventually, I really do hope that I get to show off the stuff that I want to do in the yard. There are some crazy 3D printed projects that I would love to do, but that needs the shed fixed first. So, yeah. This pretty much is the laundry. Not laundry, dishes for right now. So that's done. And I guess I should at least be proud that I did this. I put myself out there. All of me, really. And I am willing to deal with whatever comes because of it. That is actually something I don't think I ever would have really had the guts to do before. So yeah, I am happy about that. But it is also 3 a.m, and I have a busy day tomorrow with classes and other stuff. So everybody have a good, good morning, good evening, and good night. And until the next one, I'm going to try and get back to the daily recording routine, which I was hoping to go for in the first place. Have a good night, everybody.